This episode of the BJJ Campaign podcast is brought to you by Speed Pro East Bay in Alameda, California, in the heart of the San Francisco Bay Area. They're the source for premium visual solutions to spruce up your interior space. From window decals and wall murals to conference room graphics and directional signage, create a work environment that is tailored to your brand. They'll not only print your custom graphics, but do installation as well. Visit eastbayspeedpro.com. That's EASTBAYSPEEDPRO.com. And mention the BJJ Campaign podcast for 15% off your first order. Also, Eddie is a Jiu-Jitsu guy, so folks go out there and support him.
I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.
Welcome to episode 55 of the BJJ Campaign podcast. My name is Jeff Boone. I'm an A3 blue belt, 2 stripes.
Phil Coors, A2, blue belt, 1 stripe.
And Phil, I want to start out this week with regards to something that Lil T, also known as Kristina, who is my nephew's girlfriend, who's now doing jiu-jitsu with us, as well as my nephew, said that John said in a seminar that I've heard before. And that was that you don't rise to the occasion, but you fall to your level of training.
Yeah.
And equating that to a self-defense situation, I think is very valid, right? I also think it's very valid, and James Klingerman talked about it on the podcast with us, that in a tournament situation, whenever you're doing your first competition or any competition, that someone's going to come at you with that ferocity, that 100%, and that is exactly what happens is you fall to your level of training.
Yeah. So I think that applies to the self-defense point of view too, that they're going to come at you that hard. You're not going to get that in class. Like nobody's coming at you that way. And you're not going to have the same reaction because you're going to be comfortable in class. You're just not going to be as comfortable in a competition. So if you're training for self-defense purposes, that's how to see where you're at.
Yeah, and getting that inoculation in a competition environment is what makes your jiu-jitsu better as well, right? I mean, because if you have someone coming at you, maybe your first competition, maybe you've never competed in anything before, and someone comes at you at 100%, they may see the worst of what you have in jiu-jitsu instead of the best. And that's the level of training that you're at then. Meaning that if you do more competitions, then your jiu-jitsu and what your level of training is going to increase, and so is your performance.
100%. Yeah, you get more comfortable every time. But, that's the best way, I think, for sure, to test and see. And then other than going out and getting in street fights to see how you stack up.
I mean, we'll do that occasionally, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we just go out looking for.
Is there Saturday night training?
Yeah. Folks, we've never done that. Nor do we intend to. But also, I'd like to say, this is our first episode back for, I guess, since our year episode, right?
Yeah.
So we had a few in the bank from Origin, and sadly, those episodes are done and over with, and we're going to have more great guests on the podcast here soon. But for now, for this week, it's just me and you, Philly.
Like old times.
Like old times. So I wanted to bring one thing up, and that is jiu-jitsu pet peeves.
Okay.
Do you have any, do you have, I mean, obviously.
Start it, and I'll follow up.
Okay, it drives me crazy anytime someone calls jiu-jitsu jits. I don't mind BJJ, I don't mind jiu-jitsu, but if you call jiu-jitsu jits, just stop doing it.
Yeah.
Pet peeve of mine. I don't like it.
All right. Yeah. Doesn't really bother me much. I don't think.
Doesn't bother you? Are you
No,
kidding
I don't
me?
think so. No.
Am I being a bad person here for
No,
not bothering you?
you can be bothered by it. Yeah, I don't see it that much. I mostly see it. People say it online. I feel like.
Yeah, that drives me crazy when I see it in a post.
Yeah, I've seen you comment on them,
Yeah,
yelling at people. But you're
don't
old.
really yell.
You're old.
I am old.
Kind of expect you to yell at the kids and their,
Get off my lawn.
and their terms and their slang.
How about you? Any other pet? Oh, I'll give you one more pet peeve. It's a pet peeve of someone grabbing your fingers. I don't like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like the fingers either. I started making comments to people like,
Yeah, you have to.
I get it. If we're in a street fight, rip them off. But in here, stop it.
Yeah,
Because I need this finger.
yeah.
Yeah.
To pick your nose with.
True. Yeah, I hate that. Because I'll just let go. Like when they start
sure,
doing that,
yeah.
I don't
Same
fight
here.
that. I don't like it. The skin pinching, but that's accidental,
It's always accidental.
That
It
like
still hurts.
like when you're drilling and your arm's down, they get like the skin and fat underneath your arm and it pinches it with your knee. I always feel so bad when I do that to people.
Terrible. Then you have that bruise there.
Yeah, that one
ago.
stinks. Like pet peeve would be like flow rolling because it's fake now. I've decided it's not really fake, but yeah, I dislike it more and more all the time. Unless I think we were talking about it. Unless the skill gap is very big, I don't like it.
Why?
I think it's stupid.
I like it, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's
I'm a
stupid.
fan.
I like it working with new people because then it's like trying to guide the positions.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would even say like doing takedown drills with Nick where we're, air quotes going live, but he's not trying and he's feeding me positions. Like I consider that a form of the flow rolling because he's so much better than me,
Clarification for the audience. Nick is my nephew who's now doing jiu-jitsu with us, and he was a D1 wrestler at Missouri. So he's really pretty good at wrestling.
And I can't take down like Christmas decorations. So we're starting from scratch here. It's real bad.
True.
So he, in the going live, he's essentially flow rolling, but he's so much better. The skill difference is there that it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think when the skill gap is close, I think flow rolling doesn't work because people are humans and it just starts to escalate and it's not the intended thing. Like somebody has one thing in mind, the other person has the other. I think it works really well when somebody really good is either doing what we just learned with somebody new or like pretty much that, tying together other things they know and like what we just learned and just bringing it live and saying like, this is when you're going to see it, capitalize on it, drill it, train it. This is where it comes from. I think that's when it makes sense. But I don't like the idea of just like flow. Like if I flow roll with somebody that's around my skill level, it's like a warm up. Mm-hmm. I don't like it as much. I'd rather just drill something for 2 minutes.
So I feel like that I'm in the minority here because I don't remember ever having a flow roll escalate. Like it's always been about multiple positions, and whether it was somebody a lot better than me, the same skill level as me, or not quite the skill level. I've never had that, and the reason I like it is because you get in more positions, you get familiar with more positions, and what I don't like about it is if people half-ass it. You know what I mean? Like if it's fine to flow, but also try to do correct technique whenever you're flowing.
And I guess I'd say that's the other thing. Because you had the video of Tom DeBlass and whoever flow rolling.
Cyborg.
I can't do that.
That was incredible, folks. Did we post it on the...
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go look up that Ricardo Abreu, Cyborg, and Tom DeBlass doing flow rolling. They're like out on near the beach, outside, and it's incredible. They're giant men that are rolling around like with the agility of ballerinas is what I equate it to.
I guess maybe I'm just not good at it. Like, cause I can't do what they do, obviously. But if I'm going with someone
You're pretty close.
around, yeah, true. Around my skill level, what tends to happen is it either seems to be one person doing nothing and just like, oh, all right, armbar, like, oh, I'm pushing up, like just.
Yeah, that doesn't work. That doesn't work in a flow roll. You've got. I mean, yeah, you can push up to get the arm bar, and then somebody gets the arm bar, and then you take it slow so that they can then do the hitchhiker escape or their late escape or their early escape or whatever escape that they're going to do, because in a flow roll, it's just catch and release.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm bummed you don't like it.
Well, I'm not saying I don't like it.
I don't want to do it all the time, but I like it as the first roll whenever you're doing it, because it warms you up. It warms me up.
Yeah, I'd rather just drill something for 5 minutes.
Like what?
Anything.
Takedowns, 5 minutes?
You do 2 minutes back and forth.
2 minutes.
2 minutes back and forth. 2 minutes takedowns per week. So anything you're working on, whether it's a guard pass or guard retention, or like today we did arm drags, and that's not hard to do, but it gets your heart going, get you warmed up. I'd much rather do that than flow roll.
Yeah, that's true. So it brings us up to another topic in that you've been doing some wrestling practice with my nephew.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit.
I think Nick's getting a lot out of it,
I don't think Nick's getting really anything out of it. But
no, friendship.
Camaraderie.
No, it's really helpful. Man, because I don't understand anything standing. It doesn't make sense. I don't like it. I feel like if I'm going to get hurt, that's when I'm going to get hurt. And that's why I stay away from it. I did judo classes and I just kept falling the whole time. Didn't like it. I'll fall once. It's okay. Like twice. It's about my limit.
Yeah, but you realize you're perpetuating that by not getting comfortable on your feet, because it is a very safe place. But a lot of people do get hurt because they're not familiar with it. And whenever we were doing the stand-up drills yesterday, did we do 2 minute stand-up drills?
Yeah.
I noticed you whenever I was setting up a shot, you knew that I was going to shoot. So I would say that's where you've made dramatic improvement in your game, in that.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah.
You had no idea.
No
I
clue.
feel like everyone should know when you're going to shoot, because you set it up such that they're going to raise their level, or they're going to lower their level then raise their level.
Yeah. It's like you forgot the whole head down joke that we've had for 2 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That was my level. It was lowered. My wrestling knowledge level was lowered. No, it's made a huge difference. Like, and I told him, like, you're doing a lot. And he's like, yeah, I'm kind of just throwing a whole bunch of shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. And some of it has. So that's cool. And then I go back and I work with Joey on different things, because he's training wrestling now. So kind of throw things off him, because Nick, without the gi experience, has different grips and different things. But he'd show me some stuff and I'd immediately go try it and be like, all right, this is what they did. To kind of troubleshoot it and break it down. So I think it's interesting. But yeah, it was really eye-opening that you were pulling on my head, and I'm like, oh, so he's trying to get this reaction. Before, I just didn't know. And what would happen is people move me around, and that was just like, I was just kind of like, all right. And it was the same thing on the ground. I noticed people do, like, every once in a while, if I'm more experienced than the other person and I'm trying to do something, I realize they're not really doing anything but fighting whatever I try to do. If my arm goes this way, they push the other way. Pull it, they fight that one. Like, that's it. That's what I've been doing standing, is just defending by moving my body around however I feel like is the best way to do it, and trying to stay away. So known it's a problem for a while, finally trying to address it in a.
I've been talking about it for.
That's how I roll.
A year or so.
Yeah, it takes me a while.
It was a smart thing for you guys to put at least the gi top on whenever you were doing the wrestling.
I went back and put the pants on because I was like, my knees were getting torn. I don't like that one bit. No. Yeah, I don't.
You're very delicate.
It's so delicate. I don't like it. I'll just put the pants on. But no, the grips are interesting. But it was really eye opening because it didn't take long to make it's like you still took me down every time, right? But I was at least able to start defending it, and you did takedowns for a long time. So, I mean, it would be embarrassing if you couldn't take me down. But at the same time, to the next person who starts to do that setup, I'm aware of it and then I can start to do it. It was a cool thing because we did the foot sweeps last week, which is just off moving the guy a couple steps and then timing the feet. Apparently, I just like to just eye contact, deadlock you right in the eyes. Apparently, I'm supposed to be looking around the waist or something, chest, waist, whatever. Yeah, no, I just stare them right in the eyeballs and kind of freak them out. It's my whole strategy here. But yeah, get them moving, kind of watch the feet, kind of get the timing, because is one of those things I've never heard before. People always said it, I'm sure, but like you're working the timing on takedowns, which I didn't really understand, but you're watching the step, and then you go for it. So I get timing with the stuff on the ground after doing it for a while, but this is the first time I'm like watching feet, watching steps, and at least trying to be the one moving, because I've always been the one just reacting, if I was moving before, it was purely out of this guy's moving, so I'm going to do that also,
Yeah,
it's been fun.
And two things. First, if in the audience you're not familiar with takedowns or stand-up part of it, hopefully everyone is. I mean, I think most schools do take.
We're not.
Or not. I don't take it for granted.
It's my fault. I just don't do it.
Yeah, but what Phil was referring to, looking at the waist, you can't go anywhere. You can fake movements with your hands, with your feet, and things of that nature. But if you're looking at your opponent or your training partner's waist,
it's like basketball. I just never equated that. Yeah,
you can't fake that. That's why you look at their waist to see where they're going. And the other thing is that saying that you recognize it whenever I was going to shoot, but couldn't stop it. It's the same thing as any time we're learning anything in jiu-jitsu, right? Is that at first, for a setup, for a move that maybe you've been working on, you recognize it and then you're like, oh man, I'm a split second too late on that move. Mm-hmm. And then you keep working it, and then you get that timing down. So it's a component of the knowledge of the move, and then even more important, I think, is the component of the timing of the move. And so that's what you're getting down. And now that you've got the knowledge of the movements, then that timing will come. It's a matter of how much practice you put in, and you're putting in a lot of practice, so you'll get good at it faster.
I wish you would have seen me the night I learned arm drags. I was just bad? It's like, man, I don't have a good analogy, but swatting. Just like the littlest movement with someone's hand, and I was swinging to try to hit their arm out. Yeah. We'll see how that goes.
It's tricky.
We'll see how that goes.
Arm drag is it's a strong stand up off balancing, and sometimes you can even get around to their back from it.
It's one way to get rid of the grips. I stop reaching when I'm just swinging around like that. So I realized what I was doing, but I just kept doing it because I was like, oh, there's only one way to figure this out. So
picture you slapping it.
It was pretty much, yeah. Yeah, similar. It was super aggressive. It was funny.
Well, good. I'm glad you are addressing that part of your game. I think it's it's important. It's important to have those takedowns. It's important to not even just have the takedowns, but know that when other people are setting up a takedown on you, to be able to better defend it and catch it earlier.
Yeah, kind of goes back to like when I wanted to why I started trying to focus on sweeping people and get on top is it's if you can't like dictate the position at any point, it's frustrating, and then you're only going to be able to do that. I could only do the guard because I couldn't move anybody from that position to get where I want to. So this is just the next step, I think, in that direction, is trying to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So again, we mentioned it earlier, and to new people to jiu-jitsu. It's Nick and Kristina, and we were talking to Kristina a little bit before this podcast, and asking her, hey, what, you know, being from that new perspective, what's something that you'd like clarity on? And what did she say?
When you're rolling and there's running out of space on the mat and the upper belts are next to you, make room for the upper belts. Kind of, that's just a typical rolling etiquette, is if there's an upper belt next to you and getting close to, you should get out of the way.
You should yield the way. Yeah, correct. And people don't, like, right? We've known that for a long time.
Yeah.
People don't understand or know that. So it's our job, you know, that we've been doing this a couple of years. It's our job to be able to tell them that stuff. What she also said was that she felt like whenever she's going with someone, it wasn't that they weren't getting anything out of the role because she was new. And I wanted to expand on that because it's not true at all. Actually, Kristina and I did some live drilling today in Sunday rolls, and it was positional sparring, and it was taking the back. You had the back, and you had to escape the back, and just by going through some of this stuff, I realized some mistakes that I was making in maintaining back control, and that was, you know, that's invaluable, is to have that, because maybe if I'm going with you, I'm focusing on really keeping the position, and I'm not focusing on the fundamental movements of whenever you go to the non-choking arm to really plant my toes in the mat and really pull with my opposite leg to get you back centered underneath me. So having that and just focusing on those fundamental movements, it really helped. I mean, I got something out of that roll, and it's like that. It doesn't matter if it's the back or anything else, but if you're new out there, don't ever feel like you're wasting anybody's time, because you're not. I mean, they're going to put you in places that they're unfamiliar with. Maybe it's something very new that they're working on to try to work out a position, and they're going to see where it doesn't really matter what reaction you have. Like, even if you don't know the correct reaction, they're going to see some of the faults in what they're doing. So you're always helping that person who's more experienced than you, even though you don't feel like it. So I think that's really important for new people to understand, is that no matter what, you're not wasting anyone's time, because you're getting there, and you're going to be a better training partner down the road from the things that you learn, the lessons that you learn from those interactions with those people, especially in positional sparring and things of that nature.
Yeah, that was something I struggled with for a while. I don't know how many times I told you, like, I just would apologize for wasting your time halfway through, because I'm like, I just don't get it. I don't know what to do. I don't know, you know, and it was bad.
And then I always just told you, yeah, you suck. You are wasting my time, but yeah, I'm here for you.
But, you know, you dealt with it. And
I never said that.
But no, and I guess you'll start to see, if you are newer, you'll start to see like how hard it is to do the things you're trying to learn to people. And you're going to be like, man, I wish somebody new would walk in here that I could try this on. Mm-hmm. Because you're not going to do it to the people who already know how to defend it. Like, you're going to need that person in 2 months. Yeah. So everybody is always learning something, because there's also times new people will, or I mean, kids do it to me a lot. They'll ask a question and I'll like start to answer it, and I'll be like, I don't know if I believe myself, you know, and then you go and check and you get the real answer. And sometimes I'm right, and sometimes I have no idea what I'm talking about. Most times I have no idea what I'm talking about, but I go get the right answer, and then I learned something, you know, and that's helpful, because I'm a steps person. Like, you've always been like conceptual. You like the idea of the general rules. I have to find those out the hardest way possible. I like 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just keep doing 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll eventually figure it out on my own and tie it together. So there was a lot of stuff that I still do that's 1, 2, 3, 4 without any thought behind it. That's just my robotic programming, and that's how I have to do it until I understand everything. So I don't always know those answers when people ask, which has been helpful. The more I work with new people, the more they challenge the positions, like self-defense stuff or on the ground, or what if I just do this? You know, sometimes I know, and then other times I'm like, I don't know. It's a good question, you know, and then I learn more. But that was something I definitely struggled with, because I just, you know, I didn't know what to do. And it's like, this person's not getting anything out of it. But now it's like, I look forward to rolling with new people, because like my open guard is very poor. I struggle with
getting better,
keeping people in front of me. So if I just start with you and I'm just like, your objective is to get past my legs, I'm trying to keep you on the end of my feet. I need practice with that badly. And if the person's any good at all, I can't keep them in front of me. It won't work, you know? So everybody helps me and everybody else get better.
Yeah, no, I think I really do think it's something that everyone, I mean, I struggled with it at first too. I was this exact same way. And both Ryan and John were like, no, they explained what I just explained to the audience. And that is, everybody gets something out of the role, you know? And then you also get that, you also get that bonding, that camaraderie that comes with being that new person, and having someone who understands about being new. And then you forge another great training partner. You have relationships from within the academy that keep you coming back and keep you consistent. So there's a whole lot of benefits to it. And don't ever think that if you're new that you're wasting anyone's time, because I will say this, and I love to make up numbers, but I think this is 100% accurate. And that is, I might get more out of someone who's brand new rolling with them than I would out of someone who's exactly the same level as me. And that's because I'm going to be able to practice getting a lot of different positions, get into positions that I want to be in, and practice the moves that I want to practice the concepts that I'm trying to solidify in my own mind.
Well, I guess, challenge it a little bit. I would say if you don't get anything out of it, it's 100% your fault. Like,
oh yeah.
Like, because I've talked with a lot of people about different like training partner scenarios and everything like that. If you finish the class and you feel like it's your partner's fault, you didn't learn anything, you're wrong. It's your fault.
Sure.
No matter if you're brand new or if you're super experienced, if you couldn't find one thing that you know yourself, like if you're spent a long time, you know, training and you've seen this position 5 times, or 50 times, you should know, like, this is where I struggle with this. I need to work on that specific part today, or answer questions, or, you know, if you're newer, then you need to focus on all of it, obviously. But if you ever, I don't know, you are always getting something out of whoever your partner is. If you don't, it's 100% your fault. And I've gone in and had days where I didn't get anything out of it, and it was on me, and I wasn't in it that day, and I just didn't get it. Like, it's whatever, you know, come back and try again the next day. I've had some pretty terrible training. We had that horrible training day at Origin where we were both just exhausted, and like every move, we just looked at each other and we're like, I don't even know why I came here. That was like the 6th day. And I mean, it's hard to sleep sometimes. We're tired, training a lot. And that was the biggest waste of time, that class. I don't even remember what we did.
I'm going to say I got worse at jiu-jitsu.
It's like
I really did.
I've had some the pendulum sweep with Ryan class, and that stick out in my head. I'll never forget that when Ryan basically is like, are you messing with me right now? Like, there's no way you're this bad at it. And I'm like,
are you serious?
like something I should have got. Like, and it was just a really bad day for me, and that's going to happen. But other than that, and even that though, it's still my fault. Like, I just probably should have stayed home that day, but you know, I went in and whatever. But
no, you should have stayed home.
That's terrible. It felt so bad. Felt horrible. That's going to happen though.
We definitely should have skipped that section.
That no-gi though was so bad. So bad. I didn't get one thing. I was frustrated the whole class.
Yeah, I don't remember anything we did either. Oh well.
Yeah.
But only one session out of like 30 that we didn't get anything out of, so that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, except that it did get worse. The other thing coming from the new person perspective is that and it's something that sometimes we don't realize, because I didn't realize it whenever I came in. You know, coming from a grappling wrestling background, I wasn't weirded out or didn't have any apprehension about that close space that we share and
Yeah.
absolutely, you know, grabbing, holding, hugging, choking people. That never bothered me. But one of our training partners, whenever they came in, they were very claustrophobic, and that's when I kind of realized that, hey, yeah, not everybody's accustomed to this, and so being that new person, just that fear of being close with somebody in a grappling scenario. You had that, right?
Sort of. I'm gonna kind of railroad you here because this happened the other day and cracked me up. Because I remember doing it to people, like so. So it happens to me sometimes now, and I just think it's funny. But like I remember starting and doing things like the stack pass or whatever, and just being like, oh, "Is this too much pressure? Like, should I back off? I feel like I'm hurting you or whatever." And you don't realize that that's like an everyday scenario. Like this is how you get past the guard. You make the person uncomfortable and stuff. And we're doing it in class, and they're doing the stack pass, and I'm trying to actively have them add the pressure and do it slower so it takes longer, so it's worse for me, and like trying to talk them into that. And I'm like, no, stop, slow down. Like really, I was like, push my knee into my face, you know, and like they're like apologizing as they do it. But I remember doing that where I'm like, oh, I think I'm really hurting this guy, but it's like every day you do it, you know. I just thought that was funny.
No, and it becomes funner too, you know, and even derailing it more whenever Legs is going over that Gracie pass, that stack pass, and for whatever reason, I think it's because he really likes me. He picks me as his safety on that, and it's absolutely miserable the entire time. But I know it's supposed to be absolutely miserable.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, but no, I don't think the closeness really. I think I got over it kind of fast. Like just touching was weird. Like I don't touch people ever, you know. But once I started that, like, it would be more weird to like, I guess, grab the person than like if I was mounted. You know what I mean? Like the claustrophobic mount feeling never really bothered me, but just overall, like kind of grabbing people, I guess, was weird because you're at, you know. Yeah, it's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you still don't like to make grips.
Nope. Not sure they work yet.
So, also, I think it was Joey that brought it up, but it was that getting that training schedule together whenever you're new, right? And that's, you know, if you're really gung ho about it and you want to go all the time, you go all the time and do jiu-jitsu 6 months because your body breaks down because you're going all the time, and
yeah,
you can't maintain that pace, right? And that would, you know, for me, whenever I started out, I was doing 3 days a week, right? And I did that for probably 3 or 4 months, and then I said, all right, I want to do more. And I think that you have to kind of train your body to get there. You know, also, obviously, if you have better eating habits, you know, things like that, that all helps with this process. But it's that you don't want to be that person who comes in 6 days a week for 6 months and then quits, right? So if you're new and, you know, you've got a work, a family, and a jiu-jitsu balance, you have to figure out what works best for everything. You know, if you have children at home and a spouse and they're not happy with you doing jiu-jitsu because they don't see the positive benefits that you're getting out of it, then you have to figure out what works for everyone, so that you can put in the time and whenever you're there, not worry about the things at home.
Yeah.
To do it.
I remember listening to Ryan talk to somebody a long time ago when they first started, and he was like, one of the most important things I always tell new people is just be realistic. when you set your expectations. You know, if you have all those things going on, don't expect to train 6 days a week and be disappointed when you don't make it and then stop showing up because you couldn't do it. You know, if 2 or 3 days a week is what you can commit to realistically for, you know, every week indefinitely, that's what you should be doing. And I think it's definitely true because everybody always talks about that consistency, like the black belt episode, how many people said consistent training is the most important thing to do. Focus on fundamentals and train them consistently. That was, I mean,
And have fun. That was all of them.
you know, and like looking back, I remember a lot of different people that were upper belts would like, you know, hey, pace yourself basically. And I never really realized why or thought much of it, but you know, now you do, because there's certain people that kind of just stop showing up, and then all of a sudden, like one day they cross your mind, you're like, I wonder whatever happened to him, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Recently had a conversation with about a wrestler friend who stopped coming, and it's like, I really liked training with him. I wish he would come back, but yeah, so I didn't really get it, but I think there is that balance is super important, and I've even struggled with it where I went a whole lot and then I backed it down and took a little bit of slow period, speed it back up, and I'll back it back down, and it's just kind of taking it in waves. And you know, but the consistent, like I doubt I'll ever go more than like 2 or 3 weeks where I don't go at least 3 times a week. Like if it's going to be special occasions, it'll be trips or whatever, an injury or something that slows me down for a week or two. But I mean, it's always going to consistently be those 4 or 5 days.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, I'll add something to that with the situation you went through, not that recently, but recently, is that if you find yourself not enjoying it as much as you did, you know, still come. Maybe don't stay to roll. Maybe just kind of get introspective about it, but still come. But you can also ratchet that back a little bit. You know, if you're that 6 day a week person, you know, you're finding it hard to train, don't feel like you're getting better. Maybe you're just a little burnt out on it because you've been doing it too much lately.
Yeah.
You know, so take a little, not break, but back off of training just a little bit so that you can find that joy in it again.
Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting when we talked about this same topic of getting burned out with James Klingerman at the Origin Camp, because he had, you know, and I didn't realize it during the conversation. I was actually listening back to the podcast where it started to kind of click, and then I thought a lot more about it, because it's sometimes when I'm having the conversation, I'm not able to kind of like think about it. But he was saying, you know, why are you feeling that way? And looking back on it, it was, you know, in between jobs trying to learn how to do the job and what exactly I'm going to be doing. And I was constantly stressed out about a bunch of different things. And we've covered how I learn things the hardest way possible. So trying to learn jiu-jitsu and trying to learn how to do this other stuff at the same time was constantly like a frustrating, mentally burnt out process. Like, I think if you go back and listen, I was still saying like going into roll was fun, but I just didn't want to do the classes. Like by the time I was like kind of finished up here, you know, and I that's something I think I took for granted a lot starting out, when I'm like, I don't know how people don't want to go, you know, until I'm kind of back in that situation where it's like mentally, you know, yeah, I'm sitting at a desk, but mentally I'm burnt out. So I don't want to go learn. I just want to go roll. And, you know, now I look back at that period where I was taking extra days off and I wasn't taking drilling like as seriously, because I'm just like, just couldn't, you know? And I'm like, oh, there's that big gap now where I could have gotten a lot better if I trained better, you know? And that is slightly frustrating, but at the same time, I can't be that hard on myself about it, because it could have been worse. Like if I could have just, you know, walked away or just stopped going completely or whatever, and some ridiculous, stupid thing that wouldn't happen. But, you know, it's like, there was that period, and until James was like, think about why you're feeling burnt out, because it was hard to explain, but like it takes kind of looking back during that window of time, trying to teach myself a XYZ at home and then go out and learn jiu-jitsu, which is hard to implement. You know, it's frustrating. I think at the same time, changing my jiu-jitsu, all of it, not doing what I was good at, not doing what I was comfortable with, you know, everything was a new situation. It was like basically like starting back at white belt in my brain because everything was bad. Couldn't sweep, people can't take them down. You know, like, yeah, I can still do the same old thing in the guard, but I don't, like, I've figured that I don't want to keep doing that, you know, and always pushing myself in a couple different places. So I definitely get the burnout thing now, but you know, and that's why I say, like, I'm training a lot right now. It's going to slow back down, and I'm going to go through something else where it's going to, you know, lull again, but I think I'll be a lot better, a lot easier to handle it next time. Cause I was actually stressing out too. Cause I was like, do I just not like jiu-jitsu anymore? But I couldn't figure out what was happening. And that was, I mean, obviously not the case, but it's like, I'll feel bad if I don't go train. Cause I'm like, I should be there. I should be doing this. This is what I want to do. Why don't I want to go? That was weird. But it was the class that I didn't want to do because I was mentally just burnt.
And it makes total sense. So, you know, and you see it all the time too. You hear about it is that if someone's changing jobs, you don't see them for a little while because that's a stressful situation.
Yeah.
That you're taking on a lot of learning. And guess what? In jiu-jitsu, you're always learning, you know, and, so, you know, maybe you don't take drilling as seriously whenever that's going on, you know, whatever it is that helps you get there, but go there anyway. But also, you know, thinking of other things like moving, you know, anytime that you move, whether it's just down the road or whether it's across the country, you know, people move and then they don't pick up their training where they left off because moving is a stressful situation. And if you're moving, you're probably starting a new job. So that's two stressful situations. Well, if you're moving, you're starting a new job and you're getting married, that's three stressful situations. So, you know, I think that it's important. It's important to see that. And I think and I'm glad you shared that because that's the first time I've heard it from you. And that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was really cool how James answered it. And I couldn't, you know, right away, I didn't know, you know, but it wasn't until listening back and thinking about why. And then it kind of, a lot more of it made sense of what else is going on.
Yeah.
Like, how does this all you want to do? And then all of a sudden you're not, you know, there's nothing else to happen.
Right. And shout out to James Kleeman on his 12th year anniversary of his black belt yesterday.
It was yesterday? Yeah, I saw the post there. He was up with Birdman. I'll listen to some of the Birdman with Rob Austin podcast. Pretty funny.
Those guys are great. They're so funny, man. They're so funny. And
he's been thrown out a lot of places from what I understand. So
Birdman?
I believe it. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Totally believe it. We got to have him on next year at camp.
He's funny.
He is so funny. So Philly, let's wrap this thing up. What's the big announcement that we have though?
Before you do that, he had the etiquette thing. I wish I could remember the story, even though I'd probably not tell it as good, but it's on the Big Jiu-Jitsu show. I think it was on the one with Jocko with Birdman. Some white belt came up, and I mean, I can't remember it, but it, like, I heard it and like my eyebrows are going up. I'm like, they did what? So like, check that out if you guys can. I'll see if I can find it to like post.
Yeah.
But like, as far as like etiquette goes and what not to do, this is a pretty good example. Don't do that. So I'll try to find it because I couldn't. Yeah.
And that's Rob Austin, and the podcast is Big Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah. So yeah, go check him out. It's a great podcast. I love listening to Rob. And if you haven't heard Rob, we did a co-stream with Big Jiu-Jitsu podcast about 6 weeks. Episode 47, I think.
Time is flying, but yeah.
Yeah.
Might have.
Yeah, I know. So what's our big announcement, Phil?
Rash guards are coming soon.
Yeah, they are.
Dry fits, as some people call them. It's weird.
She calls them that.
Yeah.
She loves it. Can't wait.
But anyway, so we're excited. They'll be up as soon as I get them. Also can still get t-shirts, patches.
Maybe
and
do another combo pack with the rash guards. We'll have to talk to the marketing department about that.
You think so? Talk to our sales guy. We got some sweet pictures of Joey modeling the patch. We'll have to put up. I gotta get them. I gotta redo the stuff when I add the other stuff in there onto the website, so we'll get it looking fancy. And then join the Facebook group. Trying to share stuff that's interesting that I think is helpful to me. Memes.
Memes. Oh, listen, folks. Just go on, because I'm a meme collector of jiu-jitsu memes, and just go on there, post your meme.
Jeff bought more clouds for his memes.
That's a true story. But yeah, get engaged on the Facebook group. It's a lot of fun, a lot of good people in there, and thank you guys for your support. We always appreciate it. If you're not out there doing something each and every day to make yourself better, get out there and do it. Phil and I choose jiu-jitsu. We hope you do too. This episode of the BJJ Campaign podcast is brought to you by Speed Pro East Bay in Alameda, California, in the heart of the San Francisco Bay Area. They're the source for premium visual solutions to spruce up your interior space. From window decals and wall murals to conference room graphics and directional signage, create a work environment that is tailored to your brand. They'll not only print your custom graphics, but do installation as well. Visit eastbayspeedpro.com. That's EastBaySpeedPro.com. And mention the BJJ Campaign podcast for 15% off your first order. Also, Eddie is a jiu-jitsu guy, so folks, go out there and support him.
I'm about to feed him to the sharks right now. Get him hype right now. Yeah. You know the ground is up. Yeah. Everybody that trains, you know the game. Yeah. So let's get it. Slap it up, bump it, and roll. Hey. Yeah, that's the way that it goes. Ain't no better way to better yourself in this game. You're feeling the growth. That's time on the mat. We put in the work. Believe it ain't easy, I know. But we train for the love of the game, the love of the art. Now slap it up, bump it, let's roll.